What does former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani think, since KSM and 4 other terrorists could be tried in New York City? Welcome, Mayor. I think I know what you think.
I think the same thing on the first day that he announced it. I think it's one of the worst decisions that he's made as president, and he will change the decision. And the longer he waits, the more damage he'll do to himself.
What do you mean
he will? He's going to change it. They're not going to try the people in New York. There's no question it won't happen. The cost of it is prohibitive. The risk factor that it creates is too much to really sustain. People won't allow it, and he's eventually going to have to move the trial. He might as well do it right away.
Why did it take Mayor Bloomberg so long to come out against it?
I think the mayor wanted to be supportive, and he looked at the fact that it's going to be a disaster for the city. I mean, the mayor estimates it'll cost about $250 million a year to give these people rights they don't deserve. And the real crux of this is they should not be tried in civilian courts anywhere. They should be tried in military courts. We saw that mistake with the Christmas bomber, or almost bomber, who was being questioned. Apparently, they were getting actionable intelligence from her, at least that's what they say. Why would you cut off that questioning?
Sure. You know, ultimately,
why? You go on for months. It makes no sense. You go on for months doing that. And the president last night, in his State of the Union speech, ignored national security. I mean, one or two mentions of it. Didn't talk about KSM. Didn't talk about the Christmas almost bomber. Didn't talk about Fort Hood. Didn't talk about whether you should give people Miranda rights or not. Didn't talk about the promise that he made a year ago to close Guantanamo, which would have been several days before. Maybe he didn't want to mention that one because he made so many promises in this one. He didn't want to show promises that he broke from the prior speech.
He did mention a little bit about national security. 70-minute long speech. I think he might have attended to it about 7 minutes. Here's a little snippet of what he had to say.
Since the day I took office, we've renewed our focus on the terrorists who threaten our nation. We've made substantial investments in our homeland security and disrupted plots that threaten to take American lives. And in the last year, hundreds of al-Qaeda's fighters and affiliates, including many senior leaders, have been captured or killed, far more than in 2008.
Well, there you go. Another slap at the George W. Bush administration.
Yeah, you know, the reality is he spent something like a page and a half on what was a 14, 15-page speech on national security, as if it's an afterthought. It was a footnote to the speech. It was in the when the speech was running into going over 1 hour and people were starting to yawn part of the speech. The national security is a lot more important than that. Part of the problem this president has had is he hasn't made national security important enough. He began with not wanting to call it a war, didn't mention the word war last night, didn't mention the word Islamic terrorism last night. This would be like Franklin Roosevelt giving a State of the Union speech during the Second World War, not mentioning Nazism and not mentioning the war.
Right.